Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the End Zone Enthusiast. I'm Paul, and we are going right into week 2 of our power rankings here. And what a great week 1 it was. But if you're new to the channel, which most of you guys are, we are coaster enthusiasts, hence the Pantheon and Montu and all the great little things up here, who are also huge fans of the NFL, and in particular, Tom Grossi, who does an amazing job with Brandon Perna on their show. So every week we're going to do on Tuesday a wrap up of the week before. Wednesday, today, is our power rankings. And of course, we have tomorrow, Thursday, is going to be our picks for the following week there. As a coaster enthusiast, we're always going to have a different shirt. This one is Tatsu, which is a flying coaster on Magic Mountain, one of the best flying coasters I've ever seen. So if you want to know more about amusement parks and all that, check out our main channel, 125 Roller Coaster Challenge. We have over 7,100 subscribers. We have 1.5 million views there. Anything you need to know about amusement parks, you're going to find it here. But enough about amusement parks. Let's talk about the NFL and what a great week 1 it was. So last week we did our first power rankings where we kind of thought where teams were going to fit. But of course, we didn't know anything until the games actually occur. That's a big thing about the NFL. Everything is great until you play a game and then you see, wow, that team was a lot better. That team was a lot worse on that end. And what is a power ranking? We're going to go through our 2 honorable mentions. Every week we do 2 honorable mentions, teams that are just right out front, right outside the top 10. And then the power rankings are simply who the top 10 teams are in our opinions right now in the NFL. So without further ado, let's go right into our honorable mentions for this week. And the first one is the Indianapolis Colts. Seriously, who saw that coming? I know I actually picked Miami in that game. And, this week we're going to find out if the Colts are legit or Miami's really that bad. So that's why we have him as an honorable mention, because Daniel Jones, Indiana Jones, works out perfect, doesn't it? Really did a great job there with his first start. Everybody was questioning, is Daniel Jones really the answer? What's the question? Why isn't Anthony Richardson getting a chance out there? Well, you know what? Steichen knows his job is on the line, and he's going to do what he can to win games. That's really his only job, is to win games. And he thought Daniel Jones could give him a better chance to win. And you know what? Last week he proved it. Daniel Jones played mistake-free football, basically. He utilized Jonathan Taylor. He made sure he got the ball to Pittman, who's a great wide receiver. And, of course, you got to factor in that Penn State tight end, people. There's a lot of Penn State tight ends, and there's a reason for it there. And Tyler basically played the great game there. The defense came together. And you know what? Right now, they deserve to be right outside the top 10. They actually had one of the best victories of the week. And going into week 2, we're not ready to put them in the top 10, though, but they're in a holding pattern, and that's why they're an honorable mention. Our second honorable mentions, and this one is actually exciting to me, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last week they played pretty much the battle of the Tampa Bay former offensive coordinators, the coaches that Baker Mayfield made. And you know what? This was a big year for both Trevor Lawrence and ETN. And both of them came through in this first game. The defense really shut down Carolina. Or did Carolina shut down Carolina? Time would tell there. But really, you saw the potential with the wide receiving core there with Travis. I can't remember his name right at hand, but that rookie, the two-way player there, wide receiver and the corner, he's very exciting and all that. ETN literally put the game on his shoulders and just pounded the ball there. And of course, Trevor Lawrence is going to live up to it. So even though we're not going to sit here and say that they are a top 10 team, they're a team to keep an eye on there. So those are the 2 honorable mentions this week. So let's go real quick here on who dropped out. So like I said, last week, we basically were trying to figure out, okay, what teams are good, what teams are bad. This is what the experts think there. But until they played the games, you really didn't know. And the first team to drop out is the Minnesota Vikings. And yes, I know they won, and they came back and they beat the Bears. But they dropped out of there for 2 reasons. First of all, I didn't think they warrant that performance with J.J. McCarthy did not really light me up there. Yes, in the fourth quarter, he showed up. But before that, he looked completely lost. And it wasn't Dennis Allen defense, so they do throw a lot of wrinkles in there, but he did not sell me. They were an honorable mention last week because I didn't know if they were going, what the quarterback was going to do. They have the talent, they have the wide receivers, they have the running backs, they have the defense with Flores. They are a talented team, but the X factor was J.J. McCarthy. He never played a snap in the NFL. He barely played in the preseason. This was basically his first game ever. And for those first 3 quarters, he looked lost. He looked bad. And at this point, I can't put them in the top 10. And the way that Indianapolis played and Jacksonville played, I thought they deserved the honorable mentions this time. So they fell out. Now, next week, if they do well and you start seeing him actually be what they think he can be, then you know what? They can go back into honorable mention. They might even go into the top 10. But right now, I did not have a place for him. So I took them out and they dropped out. The other team to drop out, and I know I'm going to get beat up for this right now, and I am recording this before Perna and before Grassi has done their power rankings. I'm actually recording it on Tuesday. I record everything on Tuesday if I can. So with that being said, I don't know right now how they're placing this team, but for me, dropping out is the Detroit Lions. Yes. Now going into last week, I have it right here. Where were they last week? Last week, they were 5th. I had them as the 5th best team in the league. But after the Green Bay Packers destroyed them both offensively and defensively, I am nervous about the Detroit Lions. Is this the end of their era? They didn't lose really anybody on the offensive defense. Now, of course, the offensive line, that one gentleman did retire. So that definitely is softening up that line. But they looked pathetic against the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, on all aspects of the game, even the kicking game, dominated Detroit. Now, is it that Detroit is that bad, or is it that Green Bay is that good? My guts tell me that losing both coordinators really affected the Lions more than people are letting on. And personal experience, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and when we went to the Super Bowl and then we lost both John Gannon and also the coach of the Indianapolis Colts, when we lost both of those, When we lost both of those guys, there was a hangover. And the 2 people that came in there were not ready for prime time. And because of that, we ended up losing like 6, 7 in a row. And we made it into the playoffs, but we got destroyed in the playoffs. And I'm nervous that the Detroit Lions are going to have the same issue. So at this point, I don't see them as a top 10 team. The way they got destroyed by Green Bay really opened my eyes that this may be a letdown year for them. They may get into the playoffs, but at this point, I think they're playing for a wild card, because if Green Bay can play the way they're playing and Minnesota has more talent than I believe that Detroit has, I really think they're playing for 3rd place in that division. And because of that, they dropped out. So we did all that kind of stuff. Now let's talk about which teams made it into the top 10. Now, with that being said, I'm going to tell you where they placed before. Were they new to the top 10, or are they where they were last week? We're going to find that out real quick here. And number 10 is in the same spot that they were last week, the Denver Broncos. Now, the Broncos are all about defense, and that's why they made it into our top 10 preseason-wise, was because that defense was so heralded. And again, the defense is a reason why they're still in the top 10. Now, they got the victory, but they were playing the Tennessee Titans, all right? Now, let's be honest, Tennessee Titans had the number 1 pick for a reason last year, and they got Cam. And Cam played a decent game. The problem with Cam was he doesn't have the weapons that most other teams have. Yes, they have a good running attack with Pollard, but the reality is he doesn't have a wide receiver core. Ripley, 3 times he dropped the ball. They need better wide receivers. So, was the Denver Broncos defense that amazing? They did beat them up pretty good. Or was it how bad Tennessee was? And then on the flip side, I don't know what's going on with Sean Payton, but he threw the ball a lot more than he should have. He has JP Dobbins there. He is a legitimate number 1 running back. Use him. They've got other running backs in the staple. Use the running attack. Why do you have Bo Nix throwing 40 times? Now, don't get me wrong. They won, and they have decent wide receivers, especially Sutton. I believe he is a underrated wide receiver in the league, and he is legit number 1. But I really think they need to play more and more to the strengths of the team, which is pound it and defense, and that Bo Nix hit it when it's available, but not throw it 40 times a game. So because of that, I'm not moving them up and I'm not moving them down. They are staying at number 10. Number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Bengals got a victory. And you know what? The reality is that's something they weren't able to do a lot in the last couple of years. They got off to a slow start. And the reality is they got off to a slow start again here. These Cleveland Browns gave them the game because they had no kicker. Kicker left 4 points on the board. And guess what? The Cincinnati Bengals won by less than 4 points. So with that being said, not a great opening game, but they did get the victory. Now, the reason why they're staying at number 9 is the potential for this team is limitless. You've got Chase. You've got Gesicki, who doesn't get much love. You got both Chases. You got Chase Brown as a running back, and of course, you got Ty Higgins. So the offense should do better. The defense of Cleveland, I think, is going to be a headache for every team this year, and they proved it this time there by basically keeping Burrow on his back heels the entire game. But the talent that Cincinnati has on the offense and the fact that the defense was not as bad as I thought going in, I'm keeping these guys at number 9. I can't move them forward. I can't move them back. They are literally in a holding pattern because I need to see more. So at that point, number 9 is the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 7 was a team that was an honorable mention because I did not know how Matthew Stafford's back was going to hold up. Well, you know what? It looks like he is fine to begin the season. Now, that's not saying he's going to survive the entire year. It is the NFL. He could get his butt kicked in the next game and be out for months. However, right now, I'm going on what I saw. And what I saw was the Rams were playing on all cylinders. And I love the fact that Davante Adams is sliding right on in there and literally taking it a step higher than Cooper Kupp. You got Puka, who basically got clobbered, blood actually coming from his head early in the game, but he passed the protocol and he came back. And him and Davante Adams, I think, are going to be lethal when it comes to offenses this year. I'm nervous as an Eagles fan of 2 teams, and this is one of the 2 teams that I'm nervous about. Now, with that being said, defensively also with the Rams, their defense just blows up the competition every time. They gave the Eagles a headache last year, and I think that they're definitely going to be a problem. So they were an honorable mention last week because I was not sure how Matthew Stafford was going to come out the season. People were talking about his back. He didn't play much in preseason. If we see what we see the rest of the year, these guys are going to be dangerous, and they're going to be in the top 10 a lot this season. Number 7 is the Washington Commanders. Now, they did move up. They were 8th. They took 1 step forward. Now, the reason for that is because Detroit kind of disappeared. So they're kind of in a holding pattern, but because I added the Rams and because I knocked out Detroit, they did take a step forward. Now, they played the Giants, which, let's be honest, besides the defensive line, is not much of a test for most teams. The reality of the fact is when it comes to the New York Giants, I'm assuming that Drabel's not going to make it to the end of the season, and I'm also picking them to be one of the basement dwellers. Now, with that being said, the Commanders look very good. I didn't see much of a drop-off from last year in regards to their quarterback. Scary Terry is Scary Terry, but Deebo Samuels is actually better than I thought he would be. He actually caught the ball a lot. Austin Eckler was actually a great compliment there on the offensive side. On the defensive side, they were really good, but it was the Giants. They have no offensive line. They have no running attack. It was basically Russell Wilson trying to survive and get the ball to neighbors. So with that being said, I need to see a little bit more from Washington for me to move them up and see where they gauge. 1 victory against the Giants, which, of course, any team could beat any team. It was a victory, but really isn't telling me much about how the Commanders are going to be throughout the year. Number 6, also moving up 1 spot, is my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Tampa Bay showed me something this time as opposed to Washington did not, and they did move up a step. But what they showed me is this team is built to win now. And even with a lot of adversity, with Godwin being out, the offensive line getting hurt with their Pro Bowl tackle, I believe, being out for a couple more weeks, they showed me that they have what it takes. Because you got to remember, they played the Atlanta Falcons, who are actually the only legitimate threat that there is in the NFC South, and they beat Tampa Bay twice last year. One of them was very questionable. The other one was very close. This time, they squeaked out a victory, all right? But the reason why they're right outside the top five here is mainly because they need to get healthy. I think once Godwin comes there and their rookie wide receiver who kicked ass during that game, definitely a great compliment there with Mike Evans. Once you got that three-headed attack there on the passing attack with Baker doing what Baker does, and then getting Bucky. Bucky did not have a great game. I'm hoping that, it was because it was Atlanta. I'm hoping, and also the offensive line, yet again, you're down that all-pro. That's going to affect everything. I think they will be a top five team if they can stay healthy. Once they get players back, they're going to break into the top five. But right now, they're right outside the top five. Fantastic victory for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was a huge game for them. Being down with injuries and then being able to face Penix played a great game. The defense was able to hold Bijan to very limited there. They did lose Drake London near the end of the game, which I do think had a factor in there. But it is what it is. You got to play the games. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're 6. Now we're getting into our top 5, people. Top 5. And in our top 5, we are starting off with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs were number 2 going into the preseason. They were in the Super Bowl. You deserve to be number 2. But they lost to the Chargers. Now, they dropped down 3 spots. Now, the main reason for this is very simple. I'm worried about their injuries, to be frank. Their wide receiver core is now Hollywood Brown, and I can't remember who the other guy is. He used to play for Pittsburgh. Juju Schuster. See, brain working. Getting older, brain still working. That's their wide receiving core. You have Rashid Weiss out because of his stupidity, because of 2 felonies. He's out for another 5 games, and you end up losing Worthy. Third play of the year. It's another Aaron Rodgers situation here, where friendly fire with Travis Kelce ended up dislocating his shoulder. We don't know how many weeks he's going to be out, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to be playing against the Eagles this week. So you're starting out 0-1, all right? And yet again, you play a division rival who had everything to win, nothing to lose. And Herbert and them played crazy. They are just outside. They're one of those teams that almost made it into the top, into the power rankings, but I just want to see a little bit more here. But if they end up having another game there, they're going to shoot right into the top 10. But with that being said, Kansas City, Mahomes is being Mahomes. The defense was fairly solid. They did give up, they couldn't stop him when they needed to stop him, but most of the game they played very well. My concern and the reason why they dropped down is you have a loss, but also you ended up, with the injuries. We'll see how they go against the Eagles. They could very easily be out of the top 10 next week if they end up getting blown out by the Eagles. Number 4, and staying at number 4, is the Baltimore Ravens. All right. Now, why are they number 4? Why did they not drop? They lost. Why are they still here? They played a dominant game for 3 quarters. So much so that I actually stopped watching it on TV and went to bed and listened to it with Grossi because, I love the way he does commentary. And it took an incredible amount of mistakes at the right time with the right plays for them to lose that game. And that is a devastating game because who knows if that tiebreaker matters later on in the season. But the reality was for 3 to 3.5 quarters, this team was dominating the Buffalo Bills. They literally were beating them up with the running attack with Derrick Henry. And Derrick Henry at this point, let's be honest, this guy did not lose a step. He was dragging corners and safeties and linebackers with him into the end zone. Lamar Jackson was playing the game of his life there. Zay Flowers, they had trouble covering him. So the reason why they're 4th is when I'm looking at the other teams, when I make these assessments, when there's close teams, is Kansas City or Baltimore going to win that game? I think looking at that the first week, Baltimore would beat Kansas City every time. They'd beat Tampa Bay. They'd beat the Commanders. They would beat those teams. And they lost by 1 point on a kick at the end of the game. So because of that, Yeah, they're 0-1. Yeah, they're looking up at the Bengals and they're looking up at the Steelers in the standings. But reality-wise, that team would beat the Steelers and beat Cincinnati every time. And that's why they stay at number 4 instead of dropping after that loss. Number 3, shooting up 3 spots, is the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. And I am not Tom Grossi, so I am not drinking the Kool-Aid of Green Bay, but I'm calling it the way I call it. And that was a dominating performance against a team that over the years had Green Bay's number. They were beating them up every time, Detroit. They were beating them up on offense and defense. And I hate to tell you this, but Green Bay getting Micah Parsons could be an X factor for them to make it to the Super Bowl. Yes, I'm making that prediction. I'm still an Eagles fan, and I got to see how this season ends up here. But that defense is devastating now. And Parsons, Micah only played less than 50% of the snaps. He got 1 sack, but he played less than 50%. It's the fact that when he goes on the field, the offensive line has to deal with that, which opens up the other guys on that defense. And offensively here, they definitely, Jacobs is hitting stride. The running backs are not losing a step than they did last year. They are dominating games. And Jordan Love is getting better every week. The X factor is, like I said, Green Bay, I think, would have beat Baltimore. I know they would have beat Kansas City. So they are the 3rd team right now. Are they better than the Eagles? Time will tell at this point. But all in all, Green Bay, I said it last week when I had 6-5, Detroit and Green Bay, that whoever wins this is going to shoot up and the loser is going to drop down. And Green Bay shot up 3 spots because of that performance. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills. Now, why is Buffalo moving up 1 spot? They were 3rd. Well, I think that game, yes, for 3.5 quarters, they were manhandled by the Baltimore Ravens. But there is a reason why Josh Allen is MVP. And people will be like, oh my God, Lamar Jackson's better and all this. No. Josh Allen took that team and he basically picked on the people who left early. You don't leave a game early when you have somebody like Josh Allen. Yes, they're down 15 with 7 minutes left. The game for most people will be over unless you have somebody like Josh Allen and unless the other team gives it to you. And because of that, they are moving up a spot. They are right now, because of the tiebreak with the Ravens. I bet if you play the Ravens again today, the Ravens probably will win. But at this point, Buffalo has that tiebreaker, which now means that if it's 1 and 2, they're getting the bye weeks. They're getting the home field advantage. They are definitely in a position to be the number 1 seed in the AFC because they have that tiebreak against Baltimore. And like I said, Josh Allen, I've never seen him happier. I've never seen the game come to somebody so easily. He is the top dog in the AFC. And number 1 for a second week in a row is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm not going to lie, that was not the game I wanted to see with the Philadelphia Eagles. They literally, they were in control the entire time, but it was close. And going into the season, the second they got rid of Big Play Slay, and then got rid of the safety for no reason, I was definitely nervous. And I think I have the right to be nervous because that secondary right now, you have lockdown on one side, but right now you've got a problem. You're going to move Cooper DeJean from the nickel position, or you're going to move him over there. I think you have to at this point because whoever the second wide receiver is on the team, in this case, it would be Juju, I guess, which I think they can handle that. But the reality is you need a better corner there. And how he's working his magic right now, the pass rush was also non-existent, but I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Carter Haktuad Dak there and basically got thrown out of the game. Hopefully he doesn't get expected. When I'm doing this right now, we don't know if there's an additional suspension. I'm doing this at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday. So at that point, I don't know if anything's changed, but the defense was definitely frightful. There's there are holes there. They're not as dominant as they were before. And we're going to see a lot this week against Kansas City. But with that being said, offensively, my God, It is so much riches at this point there. You've got a running attack with Saquon. Shipley might be out for a week or two there, but they already just picked up Tank Bigsley from Jacksonville. So they're already filling in that. And you got A.J. Dillon too. So you've got the running attack is good shape there. The hopefully Lander Dickerson is in better shape than he was now, a week healthier because that offensive line needs to be dominant. And A.J. Brown is going to be targeted a lot in week 2. And Hurts is doing great. So that is our pick right there. So real quick here, let me do this real quick. Boom. At the stage. And let's do this. Boom, boom. There we go. All right, guys. So once again, sorry about that. Working on technical stuff here. So once again, our power rankings, you can see here on the chart that we show you if they're moving up, they're moving down, and where they were the week before there. So number 10, the honorable mentions that are not on here, the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both these teams, they got to show me a little bit more, but they look pretty good there. Right outside there was the LA Chargers, but like I said, you can't give it to everybody. I always kind of go with the bigger movers and shakers, and that's where it is with honorable mentions. Dropping out, Detroit Lions, I don't know what you're doing. You got to rebound. And Minnesota Vikings, still not sold on JJ. Number 10 for the second week in a row is the Denver Broncos. Number 9 for the second week in a row is the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 8, coming in from the honorable mentions last week, is the LA Rams. Number 7, moving up one spot, the Washington Commanders. Also moving up one spot. And number 6 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In the top 5, dropping down 3 is the Kansas City Chiefs. They might get knocked out if the Eagles can manhandle them this week. Staying right where they are at number 4 is the Baltimore Ravens. Number 3 is the Green Bay ever-loving mother, whatever he says, Green Bay Packers. Number 2 is the Buffalo Bills because they are the cream of the AFC now after getting that tiebreaker with Baltimore. And number 1 again is the Philadelphia Eagles. So tomorrow, what are we doing? We are doing our week 2 predictions. Now, week 1, I went 13-3, people. That is unheard of. So I am excited for picking for week 2. Do I have the Midas touch or am I going to go 3-13? Find out tomorrow. So once again, guys, this is the End Zone Enthusiast. Fly, Eagles, fly. Baker's got to bake. And Buffalo, just keep doing what you're doing.